I've read A Short Stay in Hell. Not bad. Mostly good. There was one thing I thought was heavy-handed, which wasn't fond of, which took me out of the story a few times. But otherwise, it's like 2-3 pages, over 100 pages. Like, it's really short. So, but otherwise, yeah, it was an interesting read. It kind of starts off like reading Douglas Adams, if you like that humor. That was there, which I appreciated. And then it turns into existential dread, which I guess was inevitable. But the premise of the story is that apparently Zoroastrianism was the correct religion and everyone else goes to hell. They each have their own individual hell that they go to, and the main character in this story, Mormon, ends up going to the biggest library ever. All of us readers are gonna be like, sweet. You would think, right? But it's also filled with a lot of gibberish. And most of the books don't really have any coherent words, let alone sentences or paragraphs. So the whole thing is that it's meant to be temporary, and the way to get out is to find the book with your whole life in it accurately. No punctuation errors, no grammatical errors. You have to find the right one. And this is the most immense library ever to exist, because of course it's not like physical, I guess you could say. So even though they're there in the library and like there's people freaking out that they're in hell, but I'm like, there are worse places to be than a library, because there are supposedly real books in there too that you could read. So you could probably spend a good while just going through your TBR, I would imagine. But also you're finding a lot of gibberish too. So there's that. But then eventually, the longer you're there, everything tends to lose meaning anyway. And yeah. I think those of the Abrahamic religions may take offense to this book, or they could, especially since it's saying that it's the wrong religion. But I think the author is Mormon. I might be wrong. But it did have an interesting take on things, which is always interesting to read. So should you read it? Maybe. It was an odd book. It was fun to live in a library for a while. Maybe librarians should read it. Maybe they shouldn't. Maybe they wouldn't want to go to work again. Any case, if this sounds interesting,